The silence at our family dinner table felt like a noose tightening around my neck. I watched my sister's mascara-stained tears roll down her cheeks as she delivered the performance of her lifetime. Skylar deliberately sabotaged my wedding. She knows Virgil and I need that loan, but she's just jealous because I'm getting married first. My name is Skylar, and in that moment, I realized how quickly family loyalty can crumble like a house of cards. Kendall, honey, that's a serious accusation, Mom said, reaching across the table to squeeze my sister's hand. Her wedding planning binder lay open between them, pages of magazine cutouts and price quotes scattered across the mahogany surface. It's true, Kendall's voice cracked. She has the money. She just doesn't want to help me have my dream wedding because she's always been jealous of me. I set down my fork, the grilled chicken on my plate now cold and forgotten. That's ridiculous. I explained why I couldn't give you the loan. You and Virgil already have 3 maxed out credit cards and… See? Kendall interrupted, gesturing wildly. She's trying to control my life just like she always has. Dad cleared his throat, his weathered face creased with concern. Skylar, sweetie, couldn't you help your sister out? It's her wedding day we're talking about. The betrayal hit like a punch to the gut. Dad, you know I've helped her before. The art supplies for her studio, the rent when she couldn't make payments. That was different, Mom cut in, her voice sharp. This is her wedding. Family supports family. I am supporting her. I pushed back my chair, standing up. By not enabling more debt. The venue alone is over $50,000. The flowers she wants are imported from Holland. The dress… Stop trying to make me look bad, Kendall shrieked, mascara now completely ruined. This is exactly what she does, twisting everything to make herself look like the responsible one. My phone buzzed. A text from Elliot, my fiancé. How's dinner going? I couldn't bring myself to respond. I can't believe you're all buying this, I said, looking around the table. Kendall, you know exactly why I said no. We discussed this privately last week. Private discussion? Mom's eyes narrowed. So you've been plotting this for a while? Plotting? Mom, I'm trying to be responsible. Someone has to. The only thing you're responsible for is trying to ruin my happiness. Kendall stood up, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You've always been jealous that I'm more creative, more spontaneous, more in debt? The words escaped before I could stop them. The room fell deadly quiet. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. Mom's face turned to stone. Get out. Kendall's voice was barely a whisper. What? I said get out. She grabbed her water glass and hurled it at the wall behind me. It shattered, water streaming down the cream-colored paint. Kendall! Dad stood up, but his stern look was directed at me. Skylar, I think you should leave. I looked at Mom, hoping for support, but she was already moving to comfort Kendall. How could you be so cruel to your sister? She asked, not even looking at me. My hands shook as I gathered my purse. I can't believe this. You're all enabling her. Just go, Dad said firmly. We'll talk when everyone's calmed down. I walked to my car in a daze, the warm summer evening at odds with the ice in my veins. As I sat behind the wheel, I could see them through the dining room window. Mom and Dad huddled around Kendall, comforting her, while my empty chair sat like an accusation. My phone buzzed again. Elliot. Hey, I answered, my voice cracking. That bad, huh? Worse. I started the car, desperate to get away from the house I grew up in. They think I'm trying to sabotage Kendall's wedding because I won't give her a $100,000 loan. What? That's insane. Want me to come over? Please. I pulled out of the driveway, catching one last glimpse of my family through the window. I'll pick up some wine on the way home. Already ahead of you? And Skylar? Yeah? You did the right thing. Someone had to say no to her eventually. As I drove home, my sister's accusations echoed in my head. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the realization that my family would rather believe a comfortable lie than face an uncomfortable truth. But as the anger settled into determination, I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. She's done this before, you know. I scrolled through my phone, showing April the screenshots of Kendall's previous financial requests. We sat on my apartment balcony, the evening breeze carrying the scent of jasmine from the planter boxes Elliot had helped me install. 3 times just this year? April leaned closer, wine glass dangling from her fingers. Girl, that's not sisterly love, that's a pattern. Remember the art studio fiasco? I swiped to an older message. She swore she'd pay me back in monthly installments. Want to guess how many payments I received? 0. Bingo. I set my phone down, reaching for the wine bottle. And now she wants 100 grand for her dream wedding. The same sister who couldn't manage to pay back 5,000. April straightened up suddenly, her eyes sparkling with that look I knew meant trouble. So why don't you show her how it's done? What do you mean? Your wedding. Move it up. Show her what a beautiful celebration looks like without going into crushing debt. I nearly choked on my wine. Are you crazy? Elliot and I weren't planning to get married for another year. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Your sister's been crying all day. I hope you're happy. I showed it to April, who rolled her eyes. See, this is exactly why you should do it. Stop being the family punching bag and show them what grace under pressure looks like. The sliding door opened, and Elliot stepped out with a plate of cheese and crackers. Show who what? April practically bounced in her seat. Tell him your brilliant best friend's idea. After we explained, Elliot sat quietly for a moment, then smiled. Actually, I love it. You can't be serious. Why not? He took my hand. We're already engaged. We've been saving. And unlike some people, we know how to budget. April cut in, I happen to know the perfect venue just had a cancellation for 3 months from now. The coordinator owes me a favor from that charity event I planned. I stared at them both. You're actually serious about this? My phone buzzed again. This time a group text from Kendall to the entire family. Trying to figure out how to have my special day without my sister's support. At least I know who really loves me. Something snapped inside me. You know what? Let's do it. April squealed and hugged me. Elliot squeezed my hand. But, I added, we do this right. No debt, no drama, just elegant simplicity. Speaking of drama, April said, pulling out her laptop, how are you going to handle the family situation? We invite everyone, Elliot said firmly. Take the high road. I nodded slowly. Kill them with kindness? More like slay them with sophistication, April grinned. I'm thinking garden ceremony, fairy lights, live string quartet. As April typed furiously, making lists and sending emails, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. This wasn't about revenge. It was about showing my family what true love and responsibility looked like. My phone rang. Dad's number. Should I answer it? I asked. Elliot nodded. Remember, high road. Hi, Dad. Skylar. His voice was tired. Your mother and I have been talking. We think you should apologize to your sister. I watched a hummingbird dart between my flower boxes. I'm not apologizing for being financially responsible, Dad. Sky. But I am planning something that might interest you. I met Elliot's encouraging smile. We're moving up our wedding. It's happening in 3 months. Silence on the line. You're all invited, of course. Even Kendall. I'll send the invitations next week. This feels reactive, Dad said carefully. No, Dad. This feels right. I hope you'll be there to walk me down the aisle. After hanging up, I looked at my best friend and fiancé, my real support system. Think we can pull this off? April was already deep in planning mode. Honey, we're going to do more than pull it off. We're going to create something so beautiful, so genuine, that it'll make your sister's expensive fantasies look hollow. I should feel bad about that, shouldn't I? Elliot pulled me close. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just living your best life. Besides, April added with a wink, sometimes the best revenge is just being happy. As we spent the rest of the evening planning, I realized something. My sister's betrayal had given me an unexpected gift, the courage to stop seeking approval and start creating joy on my own terms. And if that joy happened to prove a point, well, that was just karma doing its thing. The garden looks perfect, April declared, walking the path between the rose bushes at River Meadow Estate. And with the pergola here, we can string lights all the way down to create a natural aisle. I touched one of the white roses, still dewy from the morning mist. It's beautiful without being obnoxiously extravagant, April finished. Exactly. The venue coordinator, Marie, approached with a tablet in hand. So the ceremony will be here in the garden at sunset, then we move inside to the glass conservatory for the reception. The nice thing about this space is it barely needs decoration. Nature does most of the work. As we discussed details, My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Found Kendall crying over your wedding invitation. How could you schedule your wedding so close to hers? I showed it to April, who snorted. Her wedding that doesn't even have a date yet because she can't afford a venue? Ladies, Marie called, want to see the conservatory? The glass-walled room took my breath away. Sunlight streamed through the panels, creating natural spotlights on the hardwood floor. Climbing vines framed the windows, and a grand piano sat in one corner. We can fit 12 round tables comfortably, Marie explained. The dance floor would be here, and Skylar? I turned to find my cousin Marley standing in the doorway, wearing the venue's staff uniform. You work here? I asked, surprised. Assistant event coordinator. She smiled, then hesitated. I saw your name on today's tour schedule. April and Marie tactfully wandered off to discuss lighting options, leaving us alone. So, Marley said, I heard about the drama with Kendall. News travels fast. Actually, Marley glanced around before lowering her voice. You should know something. Kendall and Virgil came to tour this venue last month. When they heard the price, Virgil started yelling at our manager about highway robbery. It was pretty embarrassing. I leaned against a nearby table. Let me guess. They wanted special treatment? Worse. They tried to name-drop your parents, claiming they're some big social figures in town. Then Kendall started crying about how it was her dream venue and she'd die if she couldn't have it. Sounds familiar. The thing is, Marley continued, I've seen this behavior before. At every family gathering, every holiday, Kendall makes these grand plans, expects everyone else to make them happen, then plays victim when reality hits. And everyone enables her, I added. Not everyone. Marley touched my arm. Some of us see what's really going on. We just never had the courage to say anything. My phone buzzed again. Elliot this time. Found the perfect string quartet. When can you meet them? I should get back to the tour, I said, but Marley caught my hand. Wait, there's more. After the venue incident, Kendall and Virgil went to every high-end venue in town. They're blacklisted from 3 places now for throwing similar fits. I thought about the loan Kendall had demanded. She never had a venue, did she? She wanted the money first, planning to figure it out later. Exactly. Marley squeezed my hand. You did the right thing, saying no. Someone had to. April called from across the room. Sky, come look at these table arrangements. As I walked over, Marley called after me. By the way, I'm free to help with whatever you need. Some of us family members actually know how to show up without conditions. The rest of the afternoon flew by in a whirl of planning. By the time Elliot joined us for dinner at our favorite cafe, everything was falling into place. The venue's perfect, I told him over pasta. Simple, elegant, absolutely us. Unlike someone's Holland flower fantasy, April muttered. Elliot reached across the table for my hand. You seem lighter today, more certain. I am. I squeezed his hand. You know what Marley told me? Kendall never even had a venue. She was just counting on guilt-tripping the family into funding her impossible dreams. Speaking of family, April interrupted, showing us her phone. Kendall just posted on Instagram. Some people think they can overshadow your special day, but true love doesn't need showing off. I laughed, surprising myself. Let her post what she wants. We're creating something real here. And that, Elliot said, raising his wine glass, is exactly why I'm marrying you. As we clinked glasses, I felt a surge of certainty. This wedding wasn't about overshadowing anyone. It was about celebrating authentic love with people who genuinely cared. And if that celebration happened to expose some uncomfortable truths along the way, well, that was just an added bonus. The invitations look gorgeous, Elliot said, running his finger over the embossed lettering. We sat cross-legged on our living room floor, surrounded by stacks of cream-colored envelopes and response cards. Simple and elegant, I agreed, sealing another envelope, just like everything else. The doorbell rang. April burst in without waiting for an answer, waving her phone wildly. You need to see this. She thrust the phone at me. It was a screenshot of Kendall's private social media message to our cousin Rachel. Can you believe Skylar's trying to steal my thunder? She's even using my venue. She knew I wanted River Meadow Estate. But she never booked it, Elliot said, reading over my shoulder. She couldn't afford it. Oh, it gets better, April scrolled down. Rachel actually called her out. The response read, pretty sure you can't claim a venue you were kicked out of for throwing a tantrum. Maybe try being happy for your sister. Kendall must be losing it, I said, addressing another envelope. Rachel's always been her biggest supporter. My phone buzzed. Dad calling. I put it on speaker while continuing to work on the invitations. Skylar, we need to talk about this wedding. Hi, Dad, I'm good. Thanks for asking. I replied dryly. He sighed. Your mother and I are concerned about the timing. Kendall feels... Dad, stop. I set down my pen. Kendall doesn't get to dictate when Elliot and I get married. She doesn't even have a venue booked. She says you stole her venue. April snorted loudly. Put Mom on the phone, I said. I know she's there listening. A rustling sound, then Mom's voice. Skylar, why are you being so difficult? Marley, I said clearly, works at River Meadow Estate. She told me everything about Kendall's visit there. Would you like me to share those details? Silence. That's what I thought. I sealed another envelope. Your invitations are going out tomorrow. I hope you'll both be there. After hanging up, Elliot pulled me into a hug. You okay? Better than okay. I reached for another invitation. For the first time, I'm not letting them manipulate me. April's phone pinged. Her eyes widened. Guys? Kendall just posted something interesting. She showed us a photo of Kendall and Virgil holding hands on a beach, caption reading, Sometimes the universe has other plans. Surprise wedding in Mexico next month. Take that, haters. Mexico? Elliot frowned. How are they paying for that? My phone exploded with messages from family members. I opened the family group chat. Mom, Kendall, sweetie, what's this about Mexico? Kendall, Virgil's parents are helping. At least some family supports us. Aunt Linda, what about the venue deposits we all pitched in for? Kendall, change of plans. Sometimes you have to follow your heart. Uncle Rob, we each gave you $2,000 for deposits. I looked at April and Elliot. Did everyone except me give her money? Looks like it, April said, still scrolling. And now she's running off to Mexico instead? My phone rang again. Marley this time. Please tell me you're seeing this drama unfold, she said when I answered. Front row seats. Well, here's something not in the group chat. Virgil's parents were just at the estate asking about their son's upcoming wedding. They had no idea about Mexico. I put the phone on speaker. Say that again? They thought the wedding was still happening here. They knew nothing about Mexico. Also, Marley lowered her voice. They mentioned they already gave Kendall and Virgil a significant amount of money for the local wedding. April's jaw dropped. She's scamming both families. That's not all, Marley continued. Remember those venue deposits she collected? The estate never received any deposit from her, not one penny. Elliot shook his head. This is going to explode in her face. Maybe it should, I said quietly, looking at the elegant invitation in my hands. Maybe it's time everyone saw the truth. What are you thinking? April asked, recognizing my expression. I'm thinking, I picked up my phone, that it's time to make some calls, starting with Virgil's parents. As I dialed the number Marley provided, I felt no satisfaction, only sadness. This wasn't the revenge I'd planned, showing up my sister with a beautiful, modest wedding. This was karma doing its own work, and all I had to do was let the truth come to light. Hello, Mrs. Powell. We need to talk about your son's wedding, both of them. The cake tasting was interrupted by my mother's unexpected arrival at the bakery. I watched her hesitate at the door before walking toward our table, where Elliot and I sat surrounded by sample plates. Skylar. She stood awkwardly, clutching her purse. I was hoping we could talk. Elliot squeezed my hand under the table. I'll give you 2 a minute, he said, standing up. I need to make a call anyway. Once he left, Mom sat down, eyeing the cake samples. The vanilla bourbon looks nice. It's actually our favorite so far, I said, pushing the plate toward her. Try it. She took a small bite, closing her eyes. Oh, that is good. When she opened them again, there were tears forming. Honey, I don't know what to do. About? Kendall, the Mexico thing. Virgil's parents called me yesterday. I set down my fork. And? They're furious. Said something about double booking weddings and missing deposits? She dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. I don't understand what's happening with your sister anymore. Don't you? I kept my voice gentle. This isn't new behavior, Mom. It's just finally catching up to her. The bakery door chimed as another couple entered. Mom lowered her voice. The family's in chaos. Aunt Linda's threatening legal action over the deposit money. Uncle Rob's wife is calling Kendall a con artist on Facebook, and now Virgil's parents are saying they'll cut him off if he goes through with the Mexico wedding. What about the money they already gave them? Mom's face crumpled. Gone. Kendall says they spent it on wedding preparations, but can't show any receipts. And what do you think about that? Before she could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from April. Kendall just posted that she's being attacked by jealous family members who can't handle her happiness. Should I send screenshots to Virgil's parents? Don't, I texted back. They have enough evidence. I think, Mom said slowly, that I've been wrong about a lot of things. She reached across the table for my hand. Including you. The bakery owner approached with another sample. This is the lavender honey with buttercream. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting? Not at all, I smiled. Mom, want to help us choose our wedding cake? She squeezed my hand, tears flowing freely now. I'd love that. We spent the next hour tasting cakes and actually talking, really talking, for the first time in years. Mom admitted she'd enabled Kendall's behavior out of guilt over working so much during our childhood. I shared my frustration at always being cast as the villain for setting boundaries. As we were leaving, Mom stopped me. Skylar, about your wedding. I'd like to help, if you'll let me. Mom, not financially, she added quickly. I know you and Elliot have it handled. I mean with planning, organizing, whatever you need. My phone buzzed again. A group text from Marley to several family members. Just FYI, Kendall and Virgil were just here at the estate trying to book a last-minute wedding for next week. Manager turned them away. Next week? Mom read over my shoulder, looking confused. But what about Mexico? I think, I said gently, Kendall's running out of options. Right on cue, my phone lit up with a call from Kendall. I showed Mom the screen. You should answer it, she said, but put it on speaker. I did. Hello? This is all your fault. Kendall was sobbing. Everyone's turned against me because of you. No, Kendall. Everyone's finally seeing the truth because of your own actions. You've always been jealous, always tried to make me look bad, and now you've turned Mom against me too. Mom leaned toward the phone. Kendall, that's enough. Mom? Kendall's voice cracked. What are you doing with her? I'm helping your sister plan her wedding, her real, honest, paid-for wedding. But I'm your baby. You're supposed to be on my side. I am on your side, Mom said firmly. Which is why I'm telling you, this needs to stop. No more schemes, no more manipulation, no more playing victim. The line went dead. Mom stared at the phone. That's the first time I've ever really stood up to her. How does it feel? Terrifying. Necessary. She hugged me suddenly. I'm so sorry, Skylar, for everything. As we walked to our cars, Mom turned to me one last time. Your wedding is going to be beautiful. Not because of fancy flowers or expensive venues, but because it's built on truth and love. I hugged her again, feeling something heal inside me. This wasn't the revenge I'd planned, but watching truth and consequences unfold naturally was somehow more satisfying than any scheme I could have devised. The fairy lights look magical, April declared, standing back to admire our handiwork in the garden. The evening before my wedding, we were doing final preparations at River Meadow Estate, stringing lights along the pergola. Incoming drama, Marley called from her position on the ladder. She pointed toward the parking lot, where Kendall's distinctive red sports car had just pulled up. I've got this, Mom said, appearing beside me with surprising determination. She'd been helping with decorations all afternoon, making up for lost time with genuine effort. Kendall stormed across the lawn, Virgil trailing behind her looking uncomfortable. So this is really happening tomorrow? You're really going through with this? Kendall, Mom intercepted her before she could reach me. This isn't the time. It's never the time, is it? Kendall's voice rose. Everyone's so busy fawning over Skylar's perfect little wedding that nobody cares that my life is falling apart. Lower your voice, Mom warned. You're at Skylar's venue. The venue that should have been mine. The venue you couldn't afford and threw a tantrum in? Marley called down from her ladder. April snickered while continuing to hang lanterns. You, Kendall pointed at Marley, need to stay out of family business. I am family, Marley replied calmly. I'm just not the part of the family that enables you. Virgil stepped forward, looking nervous. Kendall, maybe we should go. No, I want to know why everyone suddenly turned against me. Why my own sister is trying to overshadow my special day. What special day? Mom's voice was steel. The wedding you couldn't afford here? The fake Mexico wedding? Or the last-minute ceremony you tried to book after both of those fell through? Kendall's face crumpled. You don't understand. Virgil's parents cut us off. The family wants their deposits back. Everything's ruined. Because you lied, I said quietly, finally speaking. To everyone. I didn't lie. I just got carried away. Carried away? Virgil looked at her sharply. Is that what you call taking my parents' money and spending it on shopping sprees? The garden went silent. Even the staff setting up chairs stopped to watch. Virgil, Kendall hissed. We talked about this. No, you talked. I listened. Just like I listened when you said we'd pay everyone back. Just like I listened when you said Mexico was a real plan. He backed away from her. I'm done listening. What are you saying? I'm saying... He took a deep breath. I can't marry you, Kendall. Not like this. Not with all these lies. Kendall's face went white. You can't do this to me. Actually, he said, pulling off his engagement ring, I can, and I am. I'll have my stuff out of the apartment by tomorrow night. As Virgil walked away, Kendall turned to me, eyes blazing. This is your fault. You've ruined everything. No, honey, Mom said softly. You did that all on your own. Kendall burst into tears and ran toward her car. The sound of screeching tires filled the evening air as she peeled out of the parking lot. Well, April said after a moment, that was dramatic. Should someone go after her? I asked Mom. No. Mom squeezed my hand. She needs to face consequences for once, real ones. She looked around at the half-decorated garden. Now, where were we with these lights? As we returned to work, Elliot arrived with coffee for everyone. Did I miss anything? Oh, just Kendall's engagement imploding and karma doing its thing. April grinned. Speaking of karma, Marley called down, you'll never guess who just RSVP'd yes to tomorrow's wedding. Who? Virgil's parents. They sent a note saying they want to support the responsible sister. I nearly dropped my string of lights. You're kidding. Nope. They also mentioned something about pressing charges against Kendall for fraud, but they didn't want that drama to overshadow your day. Elliot wrapped his arms around me from behind. You okay? I leaned back against him, watching our friends and family work together to create something beautiful. You know what? I really am. This isn't how I expected things to play out, but sometimes the universe has its own plans. He quoted Kendall's Mexico post with a smirk. Something like that. I turned to kiss him. Now help me hang these lights. We have a wedding to prepare for. As the sun set over River Meadow Estate, the garden transformed into a twinkling wonderland. Tomorrow, I would marry the man I loved, surrounded by people who valued truth and genuine relationships. And if my sister chose not to be among them, well, that was her choice to live with. The string quartet began playing Canon in D as the garden doors opened. I squeezed Dad's arm, taking in the scene before me. Fairy lights twinkling in the early evening light, white rose petals scattered along the natural aisle, and Elliot waiting under the flower-draped pergola. Ready, sweetheart? Dad whispered. More than ever. As we walked down the aisle, I caught glimpses of familiar faces. Mom in the front row, dabbing her eyes. April beaming from her maid of honor position. Marley giving me a subtle thumbs up from where she stood monitoring the event. Even Virgil's parents were there, sitting with dignity in their assigned seats. The only empty chair was Kendall's. Elliot's face glowed as I approached, and suddenly nothing else mattered. Not the family drama, not the empty chair, not the whispers about my sister's absence. Just us, our love, and this perfect moment. The ceremony was everything we'd planned. Simple, elegant, genuine. When we exchanged our handwritten vows, I heard Mom's distinct sob from the front row. As we sealed our marriage with a kiss, the garden erupted in authentic applause. The reception in the glass conservatory was in full swing when April grabbed my arm. Incoming, she whispered, nodding toward the entrance. Kendall stood there in a white dress that could easily be mistaken for a wedding gown. Oh, no, she didn't, Marley muttered, already moving to intercept. But Mom got there first. I couldn't hear their conversation, but I saw Mom firmly steering Kendall toward the ladies' room. Elliot squeezed my hand. Want me to run interference? No, I said. Let Mom handle it. 10 minutes later, Kendall emerged in a different dress, a simple blue cocktail number, with Mom beside her. They approached our table, Kendall looking subdued. Skylar, she said quietly. Can we talk? I nodded, following her to a quiet corner of the conservatory. The string quartet was playing softly, and through the glass walls the garden twinkled with fairy lights. I'm sorry, Kendall blurted out, for everything. Mom made me really look at what I've done, and she twisted her hands together. I've been awful. Yes, you have. The dress, showing up in white, that was my last desperate attempt to, I don't even know what. Mom had a backup dress ready, like she knew I'd pull something like this. She's finally stopped enabling you, I said gently. I know, and Virgil. She glanced across the room where he sat with his parents. He was right to leave. I've been lying to everyone, including myself. Before I could respond, Dad clinked his glass for toasts. Mom stood up first, her voice carrying across the room. When Skylar first told me about this wedding, I didn't understand. I thought she was being competitive, trying to overshadow her sister. Mom's eyes found mine. I was wrong. What Skylar and Elliot have created here tonight is a celebration of real love, responsibility, and truth. I've never been prouder of my daughter. Kendall's hand found mine. She's right. This is beautiful. Not because it's expensive or extravagant, but because it's real. The night flowed on. Elliot and I had our first dance under the stars visible through the glass ceiling. April's toast had everyone laughing. Dad cried during our father-daughter dance. Later, as Elliot and I swayed to a slow song, I saw Kendall approaching Virgil's table. Their conversation seemed civil, ending with a handshake rather than drama. Progress, Elliot murmured, following my gaze. Mom's talking about making Kendall go to therapy, I said. Actually talking about it, not just suggesting it. Good, that's... He was interrupted by the sound of glass clinking again. To everyone's surprise, Kendall stood up. I know I don't deserve to make a toast, she said, voice shaking. But I need to say something. Skylar, I've been jealous of you my whole life. Your stability, your success, your genuine relationships. I tried to compete by being louder, more dramatic, more demanding. But looking around tonight, I finally understand. Real love doesn't need all that. It just needs truth. She raised her glass. To my sister and her husband, thank you for showing me what real love looks like. The room raised their glasses, but I was already moving. I hugged my sister, feeling years of competition and resentment beginning to melt. This doesn't fix everything, I whispered. I know, she whispered back. But it's a start. As the evening wound down, Elliot and I stood in the garden one last time, taking in the twinkling lights and sweet flower scent. Happy? He asked. I thought about the perfect wedding we'd created, the family healing that had begun, and the sister who might finally be growing up. More than I ever imagined possible. I think that's the last of the thank you cards, I said, sealing the final envelope. Elliot and I sat at our usual cafe, the same one where we'd planned our wedding weeks ago. April slid into the seat across from us, dropping a folder on the table. Fresh from the printer, your wedding photos. As we flipped through them, each image captured the genuine joy of that evening. The twinkling lights, the intimate ceremony, the heartfelt celebrations. But it was the candid shots that caught my eye. Mom and Kendall's private conversation in the garden, Dad wiping tears during his toast, Virgil and his parents sharing a quiet moment. Speaking of family, Elliot said, checking his phone, your sister's latest Instagram post is different. I looked at the screenshot he showed me. Instead of her usual carefully staged photos, Kendall had posted a simple selfie at her therapist's office. First step of many. Time to face some hard truths. Personal growth, 4-year therapy. Well, that's new, April remarked. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. Hi, Mom. Skylar, are you free for lunch? Kendall's here and she has something she wants to discuss with you. I looked at Elliot, who nodded encouragingly. Sure, the usual place? 20 minutes later, I found Mom and Kendall at our family's favorite diner. Kendall looked different. Minimal makeup, simple clothes, none of her usual flash. I've been going through my finances with my therapist, she said after we ordered. The reality is, I'm in serious debt, but I'm finally ready to deal with it. Mom squeezed her hand. Tell her the rest. I'm selling my car, Kendall continued. and most of my designer stuff. I'm going to pay back everyone I took money from, the family, Virgil's parents, everyone. That's impressive, I said carefully. It's terrifying, she admitted, but necessary, and she pulled out an envelope. This is for you. It's not much, but it's the first installment on what I owe you for the art studio loan. Inside was a check for $200, small but symbolic. I'm also moving in with Mom and Dad temporarily, she added, to save money. My apartment lease is up next week anyway. How are you feeling about all this? I asked. Honestly, horrible, humbled, embarrassed. She stirred her coffee, but also relieved. It's exhausting, trying to maintain this perfect image all the time. Tell her about work, Mom prompted. I got a job at the community art center, teaching kids classes. The pay isn't great, but it's steady and I actually love it. My phone pinged. A message from Marley. Guess who just booked River Meadow Estate, Virgil, with his new girlfriend? Small ceremony, reasonable budget. Should I accidentally double book them? I showed Kendall the message, watching her reaction carefully. She surprised me by laughing. Good for him. He deserves someone who won't try to bankrupt him. Mom beamed at both of us. My girls, finally acting like adults. Most of the time, Kendall smiled. I still have my moments. Yesterday, I almost bought a $500 purse before remembering my new budget. But you didn't buy it, I pointed out. No, I didn't. Progress, right? Our food arrived, and as we ate, the conversation flowed naturally. Kendall talked about her therapy insights, Mom shared stories from her early marriage struggles, and I found myself actually enjoying my sister's company. You know what I realized? Kendall said suddenly. Your wedding was perfect because it was authentically you. I was trying so hard to create this fantasy that I lost sight of what a wedding is actually about. Love? Mom suggested. Reality, Kendall corrected. Real love, real relationships, real responsibility. As we finished lunch, Kendall hugged me tightly. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not giving me that loan. For showing me there's another way to live. For being my sister, even when I was awful. Mom was crying again, but this time they were happy tears. Outside the diner, Elliot was waiting to pick me up. He waved to Kendall and Mom. Ready to go home? He asked as I got in the car. I watched my sister and mother walking to their car, heads close together in conversation, both trying in their own ways to build something better. You know what? I said. I think we all are. The revenge I'd initially planned, showing up my sister with a perfect wedding, had transformed into something far more meaningful, a catalyst for genuine change. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, but about showing someone a better path forward. And sometimes, just sometimes, they actually take it.